In an environment as unforgiving as Siberia, a single small mistake is enough for everything to change. A trail that disappears beneath the snow, an animal that reacts in an unexpected way. Every hunting expedition carries risks that few people can truly imagine. And that is precisely where the great question arises. How far can someone trust their own experience when standing face to face with such an unpredictable wilderness? Evenki. Across the vast frozen expanses of northern Asia lives a people whose history is intertwined with the very landscape of Siberia itself. They are the Evenki, one of the oldest indigenous peoples of this remote region of the planet. For thousands of years, they have learned how to survive in an environment that many would consider impossible to inhabit. Among dense conifer forests, frozen rivers, and temperatures that frequently plunge to 40 or 50 degrees below zero, the Evenki developed a profound relationship with the land, with animals, and with the spirits of nature. The traditional territories of this people extend across an impressive immensity. Historically, the Evenki occupied lands stretching from the Yenisei River all the way to the Pacific Ocean, and from the mountains of Mongolia to regions near the Arctic. Today, most of them live in Siberia, in regions of Russia such as Yakutia, Krasnoyarsk, Buryatia, and Amur, although communities also exist in Mongolia and northern China. The taiga is a world of its own. For much of the year, snow covers the ground like a silent blanket, and winter days may last only a few hours. Cutting winds move through the forests, and frozen rivers become natural pathways across the landscape. To survive there, strength or courage alone is not enough. It requires deep knowledge, passed down from generation to generation, about how to read nature, predict animal behavior, and find food even when everything seems frozen and still. The Evenki are traditionally a semi-nomadic people. Their camps are formed by tents called chum, structures made from long wooden poles covered with reindeer hides or canvas. Families carry their belongings on sleds pulled by reindeer, and sometimes use horses in the more southern regions. In a single year, an Evenki group may travel hundreds of kilometers across the taiga, following the natural cycles of the forest. Among all the elements that make up Evenki life, none is more important than the reindeer. For this people, the reindeer is not just an animal. It is a companion, a means of transportation, a source of food, and the foundation of much of their culture. Reindeer carry loads, pull sleds, and allow hunters to cross great distances through deep snow. Their meat and milk help sustain families, while their hides are transformed into clothing capable of protecting against extreme cold. The traditional Evenki diet reflects this connection with the land. Hunting plays a central role in the survival of the group. Animals such as moose, deer, Siberian wild boars, squirrels, hares, and even bears are part of their diet. Often the meat is roasted over the fire, dried in the cold air of the taiga, or simply frozen naturally by the harsh winter. On the coldest days, it is not uncommon for pieces of frozen meat to be sliced into thin strips and eaten this way. But to make use of all this, one essential skill must be mastered: hunting. The Evenki are considered some of the most skilled hunters of the northern forests. They can interpret signs that are almost invisible in the snow or on the forest floor. A partially covered footprint, a broken branch, or claw marks on a tree may reveal not only which animal passed by, but also its size, its direction, and even how much time has passed since it crossed that path. Among the most feared and respected animals of the taiga is the brown bear. Hunting a bear is never a simple task. It is work that requires courage, experience, and cooperation among the hunters. Much of the hunting takes place during winter, when bears enter hibernation. During this time, hunters carefully search for the dens where the animal hides. These dens may be found in caves, holes in the ground, or beneath the roots of large fallen trees. When the den is located, the hunters approach in absolute silence. They position themselves around the entrance, alert to any movement. The goal is to provoke the animal so that it comes out of the den. At that moment, everything happens very quickly. It was during one of these deep Siberian winters that a young man named Buga lived. He was only 25 years old, but he already carried the experience of many winters in the taiga. Since childhood, he had accompanied his father Diuljan on hunting expeditions. Diuljan was 60 years old and was known as a skilled and respected hunter. Father and son had lived together since Buga's mother passed away 2 years earlier, leaving the two men even more united. Every morning, even before the weak sun rose behind the ice-covered trees, Buga and Diuljan prepared to leave. They put on their heavy fur clothing, adjusted their winter boots, and carefully checked their weapons and tools. The forest was both their home and their livelihood. It was there that they found moose, deer, Siberian wild boars, squirrels, and hares. On one particular winter day, however, the hunt would be different. Buga, Diuljan, and 3 other neighbors had decided to search for a brown bear. 5 hunters moved slowly through the silent forest, attentive to every sign. The snow creaked beneath their steps as they studied the terrain. After hours of searching, they found what they were looking for: a well-hidden den beneath the roots of an ancient tree. The men prepared carefully. They set traps around the area and positioned themselves in silence, waiting for the right moment. Everything suggested that a bear was hibernating inside. Judging by the width of the nearby tracks, it appeared to be a large female. The hunters exchanged silent glances as the cold wind moved between the trees. But then something unexpected happened. A deep roar echoed through the forest. It did not come from the den. It came from somewhere among the trees. Before they could react, a massive male bear emerged from the forest, advancing aggressively. The animal was likely defending its territory. At the same time, the noise awakened the female inside the den. The situation turned into chaos. The female came out of the den and ended up falling into one of the traps set by the hunters themselves. Meanwhile, the enormous male charged furiously toward the group. The men tried to retreat, spreading out across the deep snow. In the middle of the confusion, Dugulgen stumbled and fell. He tried to get up quickly, but the bear was already too close. Within seconds, the animal reached the old hunter. Bugha saw the scene before his eyes and felt a mixture of fear, fury, and despair. Without hesitation, he ran toward the bear that was attacking his father. With a courage almost impossible to explain, Bugha raised his spear and charged toward the gigantic animal. The impact was brutal. The spear struck the bear's chest, and the animal roared violently. Staggering, the bear moved forward a few steps before collapsing onto the frozen ground of the forest. The animal finally fell, defeated. The forest returned to silence, broken only by the heavy breathing of the men. But for Bugha, the victory brought no joy. On that hunt, he had lost his father, his mentor, and his last member of the family. Now alone in the world, Bugha had to assume all the responsibilities of life in the taiga. He would need to continue hunting, care for the reindeer, maintain the camp, and preserve the traditions taught by his father. Even so, at 25 years old, his life was not defined only by loss. In the future, he could build his own family and continue the long story of the Evenki people in the eternal forests of Siberia.